Good morning! It is Friday, and you know what that means? It's gonna be Fancy Friday. Oh yes, wearing a suit to work, even though I don't have to, and being all fancy. And the best part is, almost like basically the entire office has joined in now. So I encourage you to, if you're watching this, since you're always wearing casual clothes, let's get back to the old school way of doing things, and let's get really fancy. Well, it's not Sunday, but Fridays. Get fancy on Fridays. I encourage you. It's great. But let's get into it. So, what am I going to talk to you about now? Well, I'm going to talk to you about one of my absolute favorite topics, which is, of course, which is my favorite programming language and why it is my favorite programming language. And see, telling you this, like answering this question, is right now one of the trickiest things that I think I can probably answer. And let me tell you why. Because I'm one of those people who are, if you didn't know that, I like to play around a lot with different things, and I like to look at the good things from each programming language. Like, I argue that every person on this planet has something to teach. I argue that everything that you do is going to develop you somehow. You know, what doesn't break you makes you stronger and all that stuff. And whatever I want to do is going to challenge me to figure out, like, well, regardless of what you want to do in life, you're going to grow as a person from overcoming those challenges. And to me, all that translates into something that's fairly fundamental for me. I study a lot of different languages and so forth just because it's fun. Because I believe that one of the best things there is being universal, being diverse, having an ability to do many different things, or having a good understanding of many different concepts, and being able to use something in a broad range of scenarios. And because that is one of my fundamental favorite things to do, I look for the same thing in programming. So when I had the choice choosing between Java and C# for my education was going to be mainly based on one of those two languages, I picked Java because Java was actually the only reason. It was the only reason, because Java is more universal than C#. It's not better. Like, I've made a few videos where I say that C#, I mean, there are absolutely benefits to having this environment that is optimized for a certain workflow. There, like, a lot more powerful tools can come from that. But since my personal belief is, rather my personal desire is to be as universal as possible, Java won. It's basically, it's not any more difficult than that. So, how does that translate to programming languages? So, when it comes today, I believe, all things considered, there are two programming languages that are truly universal. And for me, that's going to be JavaScript, and it's going to be Go. Now, you can absolutely argue that Rust and Go are they're so close to each other. And I'm going to be honest, for me, the difference between Go and Rust is such an emotional thing. The only reason why I think Go is a little bit a stronger candidate than Rust is because, like, Go has Google behind it. It's already the programming language that was used in order to build the two biggest trend technologies there is, which is Docker and Kubernetes. So, and Rust doesn't really have anything like it. Rust is a great language, but it doesn't have that. It has a few things that I really love, but it doesn't have these things that I think makes a large difference. So these are the two languages. And now, just the other day, I was actually talking to my colleague about, I was saying that, if you're starting out today and you're going to do like system level programming and stuff, I don't see any reason why you would not use Go. And he said, well, in games programming and so forth, it's very important with performance, and Go isn't as performant as C. And I kind of go, and I told him, like, I agree, like, it's like C and C++ are more universal, like, if you think in terms of performance, than Go might be. But I honestly believe that that's really only if you really, 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 really stretch yourself into thinking that the performance difference is so massive that it's going to make a difference. I would even argue that the argument that you would use something like C or C++, I think it has more to do with the tools and the community that is developed around it. I mean, if you want to do games programming, a lot of very highly specialized libraries and so forth are needed in order to effectively do your job right. I mean, it's you don't write a computer game graphics rendering like a rendering engine from scratch. You have libraries for this. And the thing is, with Go, I'm pretty sure like you can do that as well. Not saying that, you know, that's the case, because I've never done that level of games programming. But anywho, let's get back to the topic. So for me, those are the two candidates. I argue that the reason why I picked JavaScript is, well, of course, my favorite. It's the reason why the web looks the way it does today. You can do, if you learn JavaScript today, and that's what I love about it, I can use JavaScript for almost every single thing that I want to be able to do. Or rather, it can do 90% of everything I want to be able to do. And that's why I can't pick between Go and JavaScript. I would say both together makes you the most universal programmer that you can possibly be today. If you know Go and you know JavaScript, there is nothing that you can't build. As far as I know anyway, I can't think of anything that you can't build with these two languages. Go can do 90% of everything. It can't run in the browser. Rather, you can probably transpile it, but it's still JavaScript. Browser, you want to do browser stuff, you need JavaScript. So any language that is going to be universal is going to be have to run in the browser. And since it's only JavaScript that can do that, ergo, you see. But JavaScript doesn't have pointers, it doesn't have memory management, and so all that other cool low-level stuff. So 90%, and I think that's pretty good. So this video was a little bit of a lie. I don't have a single favorite programming language. My two favorite programming languages are JavaScript and Go.